Soundstripe. Soundstripe. Soundstripe.
Welcome, everybody. We're waiting on some guests to join, but we're going to have a discussion on the breaking news on Donald Trump. So welcome, everybody, to the show. We'll be starting very shortly.
Soundstripe.
All right, mate.
Fefe, Toko.
Hey, Savik, you all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
Yeah, good. I think we had a bit of wind, so it's ruining my reception there.
No, you're good. I have us running live already just to let people jump on. Looking like I'm having some issues with my X account. I'm going to work on it in the background just so I can get that live here in a second.
You blocked already?
I know. I've already caused enough trouble already. I have a little bit more faith in my brother Elon Musk. I like the beard. That's new?
Yeah. I used to dye it before, but I only had the goatee. I've
Okay.
been growing the beard the last couple of years, so I've got a show in about 2 weeks. Just trying a new look.
Hi, Brianna. Thank you for the love. Thank you for stopping by. Malo.
Hi, Brianna.
Yeah, I thought I already took care of this on X, but it just popped up this time. This is my first time dealing with this.
I'm starting to see comments saying it's all staged.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's all staged until they see the blood, and so that's all staged too.
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to see on the feed now.
Well, doesn't look like. I don't know what's going on with my X account here. I'm having issues. I'm trying to get it up. We usually have a handful of viewers on X, so I'm going to try and take care of those guys. Then I also had another guest. He's a big Uncle Donald supporter, but I have a bunch of videos and a couple other stuff that we'll react to, and then obviously Masi will join when he can. So we'll give me like 5 more minutes. Hey, I appreciate everybody joining. We're gonna start in about 5 minutes here. We have Tox Fale here joining with us. The circumstances have changed since our initial plan to have Toko join us here, but we'll reschedule for a future episode. But we're gonna address Uncle Donald here. Oh, looks like Danny's hopping on.
This is an important topic we need to discuss.
Yeah. It's Uncle Donald. We got to take care of Uncle Donald.
This is our future.
I know Uncle Donald would want us. He'd be proud of us. Jumping online. All right, let me refresh here. Hopefully this will take care of our X issue. Come on. Man, I don't know what's going on with X. Come on, cousin Elon. Come on, man. I'm even going to show some of your stuff on the podcast. Come on. Elon's been super active on X with some of his tweets.
Oh, man. I think his last, the one I saw earlier was, I fully endorsed Donald Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, it had like what, 20 million views already? Or
in like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean,
whereas before he'd never say that. He'd always try and say he's in the middle, but you know,
now we have to pick a side.
Support Trump, but
I know. Well, let's do this. We are going to just run through our intro video real quick, and we'll get started here, Toko. Let me just take off this banner real quick, and then we'll go through our intro video, and then we'll get started. All right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Polynesian Eyes podcast. We are going live today. We are on Facebook, on YouTube, and we are also on Instagram. We apologize, X. We're running into some issues with our X account connecting to the platform, but took a couple shots at it. Before we get any further into it, want to welcome Tox Fale to the program. Want to do a quick intro to yourself, Toko, real quick, before we get into our discussion?
I'm one of the cousins of Tua and Thomas, and we were supposed to come on here and talk about wrestling, but this exciting news this morning, you know, we're gonna, discuss this important issue because I was a big supporter of Donald Trump, and right from the beginning, 2012 is when he, the rumor he was going to run, and everybody made fun of him. Right from then, I supported him, and look where he is now.
Yeah. No, and for me, that's been a remarkable journey for Donald Trump. And for me personally, I was not right on board with Donald Trump from the very beginning. I was more of a Ted Cruz fan, and I had concerns because conservatives, we do a really good job of electing someone that we think is conservative just to find out later, next minute, it's just another liberal. Yeah. And I was a little concerned because, Donald Trump was a Democrat for many years of his life. And I was like, oh, man, well, I don't know, man. When they say that they're conservative, they still come out super liberal. So what about the guy who says he used to be liberal? But that just goes to show how the landscape of the politics has changed, right? The person who was a liberal Democrat 20 years ago, it's not the same thing when you say it now. That's how crazy everything has shifted. And then when he decided to run and he beat out my guy Ted Cruz, I was like, dude, he's a way better option than Hillary Clinton, you know? So I kind of got behind him, and I swear after like the first 2 months, I was like, this guy's blown it, because there were like some scandals that came out, and I was like, nobody survives this. We've never seen anyone survive this. And time after time, the guy not only survived, but he came out even better. I was like, man, this is more going on than just a politician running. So, and then when he became president, 100%, I became a big supporter of him. Couldn't argue by far. It got to the point where I was, started to change the way I thought about certain policies, like the conservatives sold us a lie, like, oh, abortion, just give up on it. You can never change it. I bought into that. I was like, man, yeah, that's probably true. We'll never be able to change a lot of that. But look at where we are now and what Trump's been able to do. So we do have some other guests that will be joining us eventually. As always, to all of our guests, please, if you have any comments, doesn't matter which platform you're watching us on, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, we will see those comments pop up. Tried to get our X account going on, but we were joking, cousin Elon must be busy. He's not able to help us out. I called his phone, and he's too busy tweeting in support of Donald Trump to answer the phone call right now. But there's a couple things that I wanted to start with, and I think let's start with just a video of the shooting itself. Or actually, here, let's do this. There's a guy that I just found online. He did a really good job of covering the shooting and so forth. And this is one of the reasons why I don't have cable TV anymore, right? And that was like unthinkable for me back like 8 years ago. I thought I'm going to have cable TV probably for the rest of my life. But now that with all the fake news and all the crap that goes on online, I can find better people on YouTube or podcasts that'll give me better information than a multi-million-dollar organization. So I was thinking, Toko, we're going to watch through this. He does a really good job. He drew a sketch based off of the different videos, and even up to now, it looks like his assessment is the most accurate assessment. And there's going to be some mind-blowing like revelations that come out of it. We'll look at some of Elon Musk's tweets. We'll look at James O'Keefe on what looks to be a picture of the dead body of the shooter in the face, and we'll kind of just talk through it, go through it. But we'll just listen in and just kind of react as we go through. Toko, and let me know if you want to stop at a specific spot.
I have also posted a map on X of what I believe to be, which we'll explain in this video.
So this is the map that he. Let me see. Let me do this. Yeah, it's already at full screen. This is the map that he has drawn out based off all the videos, all the interviews that he has seen, and he put this all together within an hour and a half of the shooting, just going online. So he'll cover this a little bit, but this is what's mind-boggling so far. It's the closest building to where he was speaking. This is, let's put it this way. Either it was severe incompetence, which is possible, or this was planned, which is either option. Neither option is good, Yeah. So he did a good job. We will let him kind of run through this, and then we'll keep chiming in. Any thoughts so far on the quick snapshot here, or you want to keep going, Toko?
Just to add on, there was a video that came out. There was on the white building behind the stage, there was some snipers up there. I just seen that new one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it looked like they were hesitating, or they were watching that building, but they didn't see the guy.
Yes. And here's what's crazy. He's going to show an interview here. There were people hanging out, I believe, in this grass area.
Yeah.
Not too far. They saw the guy crawling on the roof 3 minutes before Donald Trump was shot.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And that's where they were looking. Some people are saying they weren't able to see because this box right here is the stands. That's where the one victim that was shot in the head was right here. And this is where the snipers were on top of this building. That's why just before the shooting, if you look at the videos, both snipers were already looking in this direction.
Yeah, before
the shot even happened. And so that's because there were people who were yelling at the police several minutes before. There's a guy crawling on that roof and he has a rifle. Crazy. And the fact that police weren't running there immediately, it's insane.
Trajectory of the shooting, where the president was standing, where the victims were, and more information that is coming through as we're covering this. Let's though start with the actual event and the shooting. Here it is. Now, there are going to be a few things to pay attention to. First, I want you to pay attention to the lighter tinny popping. We believe that is a lower caliber rifle that was used by a shooter on a rooftop of right behind the security perimeter of the event. Again, when you look at realmeatkevin.com at this sort of map that I drew here, we know a shooter, or believe a shooter, climbed to the top of this rooftop, was not immediately visible from the Secret Service, which was positioned on top of this rooftop. We had counter snipers on this rooftop. We had people yelling at police over here that somebody with a rifle was climbing to the top of this building. And the Secret Service may not have been able to see the shooter until it was too late. But in the shooting that you're about to see, you're going to hear a lighter tinny pop, 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 followed by what sounds like a higher caliber bang with maybe an echo. We believe that was the counter shot from the Secret Service sniper team that then took out the shooter at the top of the building. I want to be clear, this is a disgusting failure on the part of the Secret Service, that one of the closest buildings to where the president was standing was not covered in this event. And even if Donald Trump, frankly, had protective glass in front of him, like he did during...
So I'm going to pause here real quick, and there's a couple things I want to touch on. So he's setting the stage here of what's happening a couple minutes before the shooting. Let me come back to this video right here. And this is a video of Tucker Carlson a few weeks ago. He's first talking about how the intel agencies, which absolutely hate Donald Trump, right? They hate Donald Trump because Donald Trump has called them out, tried to fire many of the intel agency leadership. We're talking about CIA, FBI, all the intel agency. He's talking about past assassinations attempts and what the agencies have tried to hide. And then he's asked, well, what do you see of the future? And people were mocking Tucker Carlson, saying, oh, you conspiracy theorist, you're talking craziness, you know. We'll listen to what Tucker's talking about, and then we'll kind of use that as context as we're leading up to this shooting, and we'll go back to the other video.
Is a totally illegitimate criminal organization unless it is following precisely the orders of the elected president. Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter. So he's describing a crime. The people committing that crime in CIA should be in prison for long terms. That's the great threat to democracy right there. And the fact that no one on that set could even see that tells you how deeply corrupted they are. That's terrifying. And it's true, I happen to know. And I could bore you for hours, again, since I spent my life there and know a lot of people who work there. But the bottom line is there's no oversight at all. They were able to participate in the murder of a U.S. president and then hide that fact for 60 years by keeping those documents classified, which they still are. It's unbelievable. And it's happening in front of all of us, and nobody seems to care. But
pause that real quick, Toko. A quick question that's coming to my mind that I think it'd be good to discuss here as we go forward is, why do you think Americans don't care? Like, we're getting all this information is coming, right? We're getting unveiled here of, you know, everybody sees Joe Biden's not running the government. He doesn't even know he's president. He doesn't even know who he is. there's all these things, and it seems like America's just like, okay, whatever. What do you think? Like, is that like denial, or do you think? What are your thoughts?
Two
Like,
things. Yeah, it's two things that comes to mind. One, there's a sense of helplessness, where back in for how long you think you can't do anything about the government. The government will do what the hell they want, and the people can't do anything about it. Well, the second one is they're just either too scared or too brainwashed. That's the two thoughts that comes to my mind.
yeah, and all of the options are not good options, right? One is you're brainwashed, you're unaware, you're in a bubble, you have no idea of what reality is going on. The other one is fear, right? Whenever you operate under fear, it's not a good thing, because you're not operating out of a position of confidence, a position of striving to do more.
Yeah.
So, man, and then yeah, I don't know. It's like I've gotten to the point here where I'm kind of in that same boat. I'm like, well, doesn't matter, man. I have to default to this. I default like, well, if God wants to make something happen, we're gonna need Him to interfere. Because really, that's what
He's
it
the
feels
one
like.
guy. He's the one guy, and this is why I believed in this guy right from the beginning. He's a rich guy that was not part of the elite, right?
Yeah,
Everybody made fun of him, but he didn't give a rat's ass. So when he ran, I thought this is the only guy who might have a chance to change things for everyone.
yeah,
I became really interested in the American politics, because whatever happens over there gradually will end up happening wherever I am, Japan or even in New Zealand. It
yeah,
always does. So here's the one guy who can change. He did try to change it, and he was almost successful until they threw everything at him. And then now we have another chance for him to get back in there and actually finish the job. But this is what's happening. So this is the one guy who can change it for us, that we can actually feel like, as the people, we can change this system or
yeah.
whatever it is.
No, and I've had a lot of conversations with. There's a handful of people from like 2020 that were supporting Trump, and they were like kind of backing away, like, oh man, he's crazy, he's this, he's that. And I said, then you fundamentally do not understand why Trump is needed, because they're like, oh, we need someone that's more presidential. And I was like, dude, we tried that for 40 years and got our butt handed to us. Right? Like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting something different.
Yes.
And so yeah, no, I appreciate that. We'll come back here, because I think Tucker is gonna make an interesting comment here later on, but this sets up the stage. Like, when I first saw the text come weeks ago, I've already discussed with my wife, they're gonna try and kill him. That's the only way. That's the only way. We have a quick comment here from Slick Rick. Media been calling for his, and that's the thing. They will deny that they've been asking for his assassination, but they've been putting these little ideas out there, right? Just little things that they can say, oh, we didn't say go shoot him, but they're basically calling him Hitler, basically calling him all these really terrible things. And the only way to stop some of those terrible things is to try and take things into your own hand. Any thoughts on Slick Rick's comment there, Toko?
Man, this is basically what they do. What they do is propagate, and the people who still watch the news now believe a lot of that stuff. And
Yeah.
it's mind blowing when you talk to some of these people, and they repeat everything word for word that they see on the media. And for people like us who take the time to research for ourselves and try and educate ourselves with what's really happening by listening to other people as well. It's really sad, really, when you listen to some of these people repeat the same thing that you see on the news, but you've seen it for yourself. Like, for example, you've seen the whole speech, but they'll keep hammering away with one little snippet that they were told on the news, and you keep saying, go check out the whole speech, but they won't. So It's really sad.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. But you know, that's what else we do. You know, the media. That's why the media is trying to kill podcasting. They're trying to kill social media platforms. They're trying to kill it because they know one of their main tools is to control people's minds, is to force them to consume the mainstream media. And when they have alternative options and they see everybody leaving, then you turn into the oppressor and try to force people. So I appreciate that comment, Slick Rick. Let's jump right back into Tucker here.
You know, as the country declines and the democratic institutions weaken, and you wonder, how did this happen? Well, that's how it happened, right there.
What do you think the future holds? Is it,
I don't know.
I mean, are they going to let Trump be president?
No, of course. I mean, look, if, they protested him, they called him names. He won anyway. They impeached him twice on ridiculous pretenses. They fabricated a lot about what happened on January 6th in order to impeach him again. It didn't work. He came back. Then they indicted him. It didn't work. He became more popular. Then they indicted him 3 more times. And every single time his popularity rose. So if you begin with criticism, then you go to protest, then you go to impeachment, now you go to indictment, and none of them work, what's next? I mean, graph it out, man. We're speeding toward assassination, obviously, and no one will say that, but I don't know how you can reach that conclusion. You know what I mean? Like, they have decided, permanent Washington, both parties have decided that there's something about Trump that's so threatening to them, they just can't have him. I mean, they're putting him on trial in March of next year in the J6 case, which basically consists of trying to send him to prison for the rest of his life for complaining about the last election. That's literally what it is. Again, if this were happening in Moldova, the State Department would issue an all-hands-on-deck order to let the world know this is not a legitimate government. And yet our government is doing it. It's like it's hard to overstate how bad this is. And I don't know where it's going, but there's a collision that's
the obvious thing right there. I mean, I wish I could say I'm surprised of today's events, but I'm not. Right? Like it's and that's one of the things that kind of blows my mind is you can see we're all human beings and we don't know the future, but we can see a trend, right? We can say, oh, if this continues, this is what's going to happen. So I don't buy a lot of people who are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. It's like, no, we hope it wouldn't happen, but it was obvious it was going to happen. Any thoughts?
Yeah, once Trump announced he was running again, you don't want to believe it, but in the back of my mind, I was thinking to myself, they're gonna try and kill him. It was always there.
Yeah.
You wake up in the morning, or you see some of the news, or on X, you don't want to. How to say you kind of like, is it today they're gonna announce he's been killed or he's been shot, and then it happened today. So it was just like what you said. People kind of knew it was coming, but nobody wanted to say it out loud. So their feelings being there, and we still have 100 something days, and who knows, man? They're still gonna try and do it. I believe they're gonna try it again.
Yeah, they've run out of every option out there. And here's a comment here we have pop up again. 100% agree, Slick Rick. This is what it's all about. It's all about controlling the minds, right? Because if they just let the people make their own decisions, just give them the information, they know they lose every time. So they have to do something to control it.
Yeah.
Here's another video here that I wanted to kind of go, and this is what's mind-boggling, because now that we've pretty much agreed Donald Trump is in severe risk, and you don't have to be a physicist or some kind of rocket scientist to figure this out. Let's look at what his current looks like. We have Maui joining here real soon. Hey, Maui, can you hear us? Yeah, it looks like he's still working. Maybe, can you hear us, Danny? Yeah, it looks like this is why this is another topic. This is why Tonga just
Maybe,
needs to give Starlink a freaking license
maybe
so we can have
Starlink's
good.
not working.
I'll remove him real quick, and then once he has his full thing set up, just message me, Danny, and we'll get you back on.
Man, how
But
crazy is that? Tonga banning
oh man, don't
Starlink.
even get me
Oh
started.
my
It's just
Jesus! I saw that and I thought, man, what's going on? Are they wanting to go back to
the Stone Age.
slow internet? Do they love slow internet? Is that what they want?
No, and it's. I mean, we're gonna go ahead and say it. The current leadership in Tonga, kind of like, you know how we have like the Harvards and the stuff who have just gone crazy. Tonga High School, man, I love you. I went to Tonga High School. I feel great, but you guys are starting to make me think we're getting a little too woke or whatever. Because all the leadership from Tonga High School, I'm not too excited about the direction we've been going with some of this leadership. Hey, and this is a good point, Slit Rick. And this is where I was getting to with the next video we're going to discuss. There's only two options: incompetence or by design. It's hard to say like this guy was just so good, this shooter, he was so good to be on the closest building right next to him. So let's look at this video real quick, and let me see, bring it back up, and we'll take a look at it. So just for context, this is Dan Bongino. He worked as a Secret Service agent. A lot of his contacts are Secret Service agents. So this is a good guy when we're talking about security, and understanding the state that Donald Trump is in and what kind of security detail he has. This guy is the guy to talk about and to listen to.
To be doing what she's doing. It is time for her.
Let's go back.
It's time for a full presidential package for President Trump. If you go back and listen to episode 2079, President Trump does not have that. He doesn't have that.
Isn't that crazy?
I get it. There are some legalities involved. But President Trump is a former president running for re-election. You essentially have two incumbents running. Folks, he does not have a full presidential package right now. It is putting the man in danger. His threat level is apocalyptic and catastrophic. It is time right now for Kim Cheadle, the Secret Service director, to get her head out of her ass and do the right thing.
So let's just think about that. Everybody recognized Donald Trump is one of the most at-risk candidate, a former president running for re-election to become the next president, and he doesn't have a full protection package.
Is that normal? Usually at this time they would have a full one.
Well, this is a very unusual situation we're in, right? And that's why he's saying, hey, is there like a little nuance, like, well, he's not the president, he's not blah, blah. But here's the thing. We haven't had a former president run for president in a long time. Or, you know what I mean? This is very rare because usually once you're a president and you lose re-election, you have no real chance. Everybody's kind of like, it's time to move on, right?
Yeah.
But Donald Trump is in a very unique position, and he is by far, right now he's the favorite to win. And then with how controversial his position is, it's a no-brainer that you would give him the full package of protection. Right. And everybody could see it. Everybody was talking about it. But unfortunately, when you have people, and they're going to talk about this, and Elon Musk actually tweets about that, and we'll kind of get to a couple of his tweets, but this is the kind of chaos that we're in.
I could tell you stories for days about her putting politics ahead of presidential protection. I am not being overly emotional because I've said it before. The Secret Service director is utterly unqualified right now to be doing what she's doing. It is time for her first to get this thing solved. It's an emergency situation right now, and find out what happened, but she should step down immediately. Some of the things she has told people on that detail about security arrangements, clearly making political statements. She is completely unqualified. It is time for President Trump to have a full presidential package.
Hey, Maui, can you hear us? Are you connected? Please, Tonga, give us Starlink, please, so we can have some connectivity. Right? If Tonga is saying, "Oh, we brought the deep sea cable because we're going to build technological opportunity for our people," that was like grandpa's version of success. Elon Musk is bringing a real version of success. Starlink. No volcano eruption is going to disconnect internet connectivity. No nothing. So
Now the government in Tonga, they said, wait a minute, I'm running out of pocket change. What can we do to make some pocket change?
and that's the sad reality. We know how these things work, right? Or for the PM to come out there and be like, "Oh, guys, we gotta follow the law. We gotta do." Shana, how about when it was the law not to travel and move about during COVID, and he's flying all over the world? So don't tell me this is about the law. Okay, I mean, kind of ridiculous. Poor Maui. Maybe, hopefully, he'll be able to connect before the end of this. But this is our official promotion of Elon. Send Starlink to Tonga, please. I mean, it was already there, but be patient. We know we're not a big market. We act right now. Our government is acting like we hold the power position of Tonga's massive economic power. You know,
even though you donated it to help us communicate during the eruption. Next time, ask for permission, okay?
Hey, Toko, where was this license discussion when that happened, right? When Elon Musk says, "I'm going to come to you." Sorry, Elon, you can't help us until you have a license to help us.
That's a new one. You can't help us unless you show us your license first. That's a new one. Only Tonga, eh?
Only Tonga, man. Elon Musk is probably like, "These clowns, I saved them when everybody thought," literally, I was under this boat too, right? I literally thought, it was like, there is a chance Tonga has been wiped off the map, right? And you're just like, holy smokes, my mind's blown. Elon Musk connects us so we can find out, hey, our family and our friends are alive and well. And what do we do a year or two later when he's like, "Hey, yeah, you guys can use my internet. Sorry, you got to give us a license." Oh my goodness. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. This reminds me, this is a funny story, Toko, with Xiaoxi in Tonga. So, and it's kind of related to this idiotic position our government is taking. Show me your license, right? So you know how we would, your neighbor would ask you for something and you would give your neighbor or something. So one of the people in the village come and asked for some shovels and stuff, and they came and took it. And then our grandpa one day was like, "Hey, Tua, can you go back to the people's house? This is like 2 weeks later. We haven't seen the shovel and some other stuff. Can you go get it? We need to do some work here, there." So I go to the neighbor's house and I go, "Hey, ko hao vakai pa ko kay whaingamari savolo mo e." I don't know what it was, right? A couple things. And the neighbor brings the shovel and the I think it was like a kind of like a fork to langake kere kere. I can't remember what it's called. And as I grab it, the pitch, but the pitchfork's usually just for like hay, but this is like to kind of soften the dirt, right? And they hand it to me, and this is exactly what they say. "Hey, remember to bring back our shovel, and we'll call it a pitchfork when you're done." And I looked at them and I was like, "Are you serious?" Like, so I'm walking back, right? I'm walking back, and I was like, "Man, I'm gonna tell Grandpa, and he's gonna be like, he's gonna agree with me. These fools, we help them, and then when we show up to get our stuff back, they tell us, 'Hey, remember to bring back our stuff.'" That is what Elon Musk is feeling right now with Tonga. Eh? He goes, "Hey, here, I'm going to help you with the satellite." And then we go and slap him in the face. "Hey, thank you for helping, but, go take a hike." I swear. Tonga
You
is
know what
Tonga,
would have
like you
been
said.
funnier? You took it back and Grandpa said, "Yeah, that's because it's theirs."
No, no. That would have been funny. But here, this is the response that Grandpa gave that blew my mind. So I go and I'm like, Xiaoxi, can you believe this? This is our shovel. We gave it to them. And I go on like this rant. And you know how Xiaoxi's usually a quiet guy. I go on my rant, and then Xiaoxi goes, okay, tua, alo fai tao ngawe. And when it's done, go give it back to them. Because obviously, if they want it, they can have it. And I was like, what? But yeah, that's what he said. He said, oh, if they want it more than us, then let them have it. So guess what we did? We did our work, went back, and I remember being like kind of angry, but I was like, here's your shovel, here's your pitchfork. And I'm like, we're encouraging this kind of bad behavior, in my opinion. But hey, Grandpa said, let them have it. You can't make this stuff up. Tonga, and for those who don't are aware, Tonga right now is going through a whole. When I say Tonga, I'll just say the government, because I've seen the people are writing petitions and asking the government, what in the world are you doing? This is the only reliable internet that we have. And unfortunately, Maui is suffering from that TCC internet connectivity in Tonga. Anyways, that was a good shift in laugh. Good little laugh to get there, but we'll come back to Mr. Bongino here.
I'll leave you with this, and then I'm asking you all, please, again, it's in these times where, I'm not some freaking poet, man. So we don't need to do any of that stuff. I'm just saying, like when these people get lost at sea, they have lighthouses and stuff for a reason, God's that one for you. And he's that one for us right now. Just ask. Just open up. Prayer matters. It's not a joke. It's not some scam. What do you think? This was all created out of some kind of alien mist or something? We need them right now. The nation needs them. We're still the United States of America, even though we got a lot of crazy people. You don't want some foreign country right now taking advantage of this chaos. And on this, listen, I say all the time, maybe put a little smile on your face in a really tragic time. Campaigns are snapshots and sound bites. That's all they are. Donald Trump's got a lot of guts, man, getting up there. Exposing himself again to what he knew was an assassination attempt, and pounding his fist in the air. That snapshot's going to live forever.
100%,
That was a clip.
100%. And you know what I'm waiting for, Togo? Rumor has it, Homeboy's still going to show up at the UFC tonight.
Yeah, that's what I just saw. That guy knows how to get people.
Yes.
Going. Yes.
And that's going to be crazy. It's going to. I mean, if he shows up tonight, that's going to be. I mean, it's already legendary. Like Dan Bongino's talking about, has his hands up. Right. As they're picking him up, they're trying to determine whether "let me grab my shoes" is a code word for something, or if he really just said, I really want my shoes. Maybe some really nice shoes. I don't know. Hey, Nelly, appreciate it. Yep. Trump 2024. That's what we're shooting for. Thank you. But if he shows up tonight at UFC, man, it's going to go crazy. That building might collapse, man, with the people. And I think, how can you not get behind someone who does that? How can you not be like, dude, the guy was just shot for standing for what he believes, and then he still continues on. It's going to be crazy.
UFC is going to get its highest rating?
Oh, dude, I guarantee you.
They want to see what he looks like after that shot?
Yes. I think that a lot of people are going to buy that pay-per-view just to see that, 2 minutes of Trump coming in. That's going to be crazy. Who is on the, let me see if I can, let's see who's on the UFC card. Is it just a fight night or is it a pay-per-view? No, I think it's just a fight night. It's not even a pay-per-view, is it?
Okay. I'm not sure.
Yeah, let me share this real quick. It may be just a hey, Masi,
Yo, what's up?
welcome.
Came back from church, so I kind of blessed your guys' podcast here. You guys need the blessings.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you give a
Oh,
blessing
no.
for Uncle Donald? That's the guy who needs the blessing right now.
And yes, because Uncle Donald needs it too.
Yes. I think it's just a fight night.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the main card. That's the preliminary card right there. So I think that's just not a pay-per-view. Because it's I mean, I like Rose. Rose is awesome.
I love
But
her.
she's
I love her nickname, Thug Rose.
Doug Rose. Isn't that pretty awesome?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're two fights away from the main fight. We're just talking about how crazy it'll be, Mussy, if Uncle Donald shows up
Mm,
to this, because I just saw I think his motorcade was heading to the airport to fly to Denver.
that's pretty cool,
And
dude.
dude,
He's a
that'll be
killer.
nuts.
Trump is a killer, man. I don't know what else he has to prove to show like my man is not only he walks the talk, but he walks the walk, man. She.
Yeah.
Hey, I tell you what, if he doesn't have that the security what do you call it?
Detail.
The security, enough people detail. If he doesn't have the full security detail, he's got a whole stadium full of
Yeah.
protectors
Yeah.
right there tonight.
So man, yeah, that'll be crazy. We're gonna keep tabs on that. And if any of the viewers see the link, once it gets on YouTube, if you guys see the link of him walking in and we're still on live, shoot that over and we'll definitely, because that is just, I mean, every time he goes to a UFC fight, it's pandemonium when he goes in. That's why I'm like, what is the next level of whatever he's done? Because you can't imagine more support than when he goes in the past. So it's gonna be awesome. So interesting. Any
Well,
initial
but-
thoughts, Messi? Oh, go ahead, Toko.
No, Maui still can't get on. We were just talking about maybe the reason is because
Oh,
hey, Masi, maybe it's because of Starlink. I just
Oh,
had
I
a thought.
know.
Does Tonga know there was an assassination attempt today yet? Or somebody better tell them because they don't have internet.
No,
They're probably
man,
still
that-
running from yesterday's.
no,
yeah, no, good point, Toko. I mean, I don't know what Huakawa Meiriku is thinking. He thinks he's the top dog. He's trying to tell Starlink, who's flying up rockets to outer space, that they need to go through government regulation. Like, it's crazy. And this is why people hate governments when they think they're being intrusive, trying to tell them what to do, which internet providers to use, even though the government run internet providers in Tonga suck, like really suck bad. That's why they're
Yeah.
turning to Elon Musk's company Starlink. So it's sad. It's sad, but it's unfortunate that the people have to suffer because of bad decisions by the leaders of the government. So
yeah.
dude, sucks.
Well, and this is what happens when you have a pure academic think they know how to run economics, right? Nothing against the PM, but you're an academic, and when you try to come with just your, like we talked about, come with your academics, but there's a difference sometimes between reality and theory. And unfortunately, when you don't have, it's good to have theory, but you have to ground your theory in reality. And when you don't have that, then you're gonna go tell the guy who is gonna get us to Mars, sorry, my country needs you to get a license before you can come to my country and do something.
And Toko, you probably have a good understanding, right? It's much easier to write it in a piece of paper and say these theories is going to be good, and you write it down and you defend it in a bunch of panel, to get your PhD. Then when it comes to the actually of, when you gotta work out people's behaviors, and then you gotta work out how people are their output of productivity, it's not gonna go as planned. Then there's things that happen, miscellaneous things. and this is what's happening, and this is the issue that Tonga's going with right now. And unfortunately, it's not going well, and that's why
Yeah.
the issue is happening in
Well,
Tonga's internet
a-
provider.
and like I said earlier, in some of our discussions, current leadership in Tonga has a version of Joe Biden, but in Tonga.
Yeah,
From what I can see, nothing is moving, nothing is happening, and what does move and does happen is backwards. Doesn't make sense. And so I mean, I
it's
don't know,
crazy.
man. I really
It's
don't know.
crazy.
And this is a fair point from Slick Rick here. This could be a distraction from the war that's coming. Maybe. Who knows? At the rate that we're going, right? Like if we go back to Tucker Carlson's discussion, you try to assassinate his personality, you try to assassinate his presidency, then it goes to him as a person. Well, what
His
if
life.
we continue on that trend? What do you think is going to happen? This kind of stuff.
No, and I was thinking too. This is probably this is a blame of the reason why we've gotten to this point that everyone takes a blame for. I'm talking about everybody, all aspects of life, the other government institutions, even the courts, even I'll even take it to religious institutions.
Yes.
Not telling people to fight what is right when you know there's a lie. You need to correct and fix it. When you have hard things that you need to talk about to people and that you need to like actually sacrifice and do it, you need to act upon it. Because if things, like I said, bad things only happen, and the rot or the eroding of our society only happens when people just stand by and just let it pass.
Yep.
And that's why I'm saying the reason why this trajectory is happening in the U.S. and now it's getting more violent. Now there's an attempt for the take away Trump's life, because he is a representation of a movement of people wanting more government accountability, more better spending on our taxpayers' money, more focus on keeping infrastructure and businesses in America instead of globalizing it. So this is just an representation of what's going on that everyone takes a blame for. That's what I'm
Yep.
thinking.
No, 100% agree. And really, this is like Toko was mentioning earlier, one of the biggest things that we're trying to describe, the American voter and what they're feeling, and there's like a feeling of hopelessness or helplessness, and Donald Trump is kind of eroding away at that feeling, right? That's what a lot of people feel about Donald Trump. Is like, hey, maybe it's not as hopeless as it looks. We have someone in there that actually can get something done. And so that's why he's so dangerous. That's why the machine wants to stop him, right? Because the machine is happy with the helplessness and the fear and the willingness to just give up. But Donald Trump is providing hope. He's providing some level of competency to get something done. I mean, and look at here. I'm going to just show this. This is, we won't play the video, but look at the sound. But if we go to,
I
let's
read a
try this
report,
view.
Dua. I read a report that somebody actually notified, and this is like the notified the CIA and FBI that there was somebody climbing on top of the building with a rifle, and he even said, this was a quick look on my way to church. Quick look, and
Yes.
reading it, he even notified, and he was
It
surprised.
was a BBC interview right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, let's look at that real quick, Musty. I'll bring this up and I'll put the sound on. And I wanna like share something here. Look at the BBC reporter's attitude, right? He's acting like, oh man, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm like, what the heck? And then when the guy points to, let's watch it. Let's just watch it, because this is
you're right.
mind-boggling.
He keeps pointing to the building, and the camera not once turns
Moves over, or even the reporter, right? Or be like, oh, which building? Blah, blah, blah. They're just acting like, oh, you're reporting about your favorite McDonald's Happy Meal. They're just standing there. It's crazy.
Of Trump speaking, I'm estimating here. I have no idea, but we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, and we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle.
A rifle.
We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? You know, like
Jeez.
they didn't know what was going on. You know, we're like, hey, right here on the roof, we can see him from right here. We see him. You know, he's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling police and the Secret Service.
We were telling the police. We were pointing at him for the Secret Service, who were looking at.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
I don't know how you make sense of that.
Well,
You know?
the service that Trump is receiving, obviously they wanted to react instead of being proactive. So obviously they wanted something to happen. to Trump.
That's what we were mentioning earlier, Masi. That it seems like the only kind of obvious options now is incompetence or by intention.
Yeah, I don't know if it's incompetent. Yeah, I don't know, man. If it's incompetent, I don't know. Why are they FBI agents? I mean, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I think for the last 8 years, we know it's not incompetence.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. We just throw that out as, and here's another thing we looked at, Masi, which is, this is a sketch this guy did, dude, within like an hour of the shooting.
Here's
this guy.
One thought that comes to mind. Why was there nobody up on that roof?
That's exactly.
And because it's right there. It could be because they're the lacking numbers of the security or outfit.
Yeah, I mean that. Some of the comments here is it sounds like it's hard not to let your mind go in that direction. And exactly, this is the closest building to the event. Why? I guess a lot of people are saying, why is there not a Secret Service agent on top here?
That's it. Yeah.
And what's crazy is apparently this roof right here, it has a weird pitch. So him hiding on this side, he was on this side of the roof. That's why the sniper guys had a hard time seeing him.
Wait, show your mouse to it because I can't see where you're.
Sorry, right here. See where the S is? He was on this side of the building, and it's like a weird double pitch. So him lying down right here, if he were just to stick his gun out, it's really hard for the sniper guys to see him. That's why, like Toko was mentioning, there's a video where before the shots come, the sniper guys are already looking in that direction. And it looks like they're looking around.
The phone, oh yeah. Oh, where phone 2, or is that phase or ring?
Which one?
Or the 2 squares in front of the stage.
Oh, this is the press box.
Yeah, okay. So the videos from there that shows the snipers behind.
Yes. Yeah. So this is press box 1 that shows the 2 snipers over here. And then the reason why he put press box 2, because there is a water tank in the back that shows it. So that's how he was able to like triangulate where this guy was. And here's what's crazy. And you know how we were talking about earlier, Toko, this is why I don't watch cable news and stuff. As this guy is putting this all together, a one-man show. Do you know what CNN is still saying? What appears to be gunshots. They won't say it was an assassination attempt. They're still saying possible. They're still saying all these things. And while this guy is he's looking at Fox News, he's looking at people putting stuff up on social media. CNN is talking about they're thinking the shooter was inside. They were like, did they have gun detectors, metal detectors, blah, blah, blah. And this guy who's sketching this up is like, oh man, yeah, they're still talking. The shooter wasn't in there. He's out over here. And CNN has millions and millions of dollars with hundreds and thousands of people working. And this guy, a one-man show, was like way ahead of them. This is why, guys, stop watching the mainstream media. It is an absolute waste of time.
And I think you mentioned too the probably best way to kind of get your news is probably on X. you know, for everyone, because it's not being interfered or kind of mingled with. You just kind of get it straight from the reporting what's
Yeah.
happening.
Once you can go on there and you can find people more easily there than anyone else. I know. I did see this, Slick Rick. Alex Jones went live. But Alex Jones, man, everybody said he was crazy. You know, everybody remembers the frogs are going gay. And even I thought, I was like, dude, I think Alex Jones has literally lost it. And then next minute we find out, no, it's true. Like, this is the world we live in now, that whatever is crazy and rejected by the majority, all of a sudden becomes the truth. This is how crazy this is a crazy time we live in. But from here to here is about 450 feet. This is the closest building. And like Toko was saying, you're telling me we don't have anyone here? And apparently in the Secret Services like planning, the only thing they kept a line of sight on was this side of the building. See, this is another thing that this one right here. You see the side that's facing where Trump is. So this is Trump.
Yes.
This is the only side of the building that they were surveilling. And so this guy was crawling on this side of the building. So what you're telling me, and we'll find out who this clown is, he happened to know the one spot that they wouldn't be looking. Right? How would he know, like, oh, I'm going to come and climb over here? Like, there's just so many questions. If it looks like a fish, if it smells like a fish, if it acts like a fish, it's probably a fish. And like David is saying, man, this kind of looks and smells like an inside job until, you know, I don't know. Yeah, Slick Rick, we were just showing a video earlier of Tucker Carlson talking about the three-lettered agencies, that they have a bad history of this kind of behavior, unfortunately.
It's the same, and that's the thing. It's those same agency that raided Trump's house.
Yeah.
With the files. So I mean, there's gotta, and that's the reason why Trump's gotta go in there to really fix up a lot of these. It's either fix it or like really just get rid of some of these agencies. It's getting too powerful.
I really think that if he gets in now, he's going to clean house. What most presidents have trouble with if they get in the first time is they're not worried about doing their job. They're worried about getting
re-election.
Next time. So I think he's smartened up. He knows all the enemy are, and then if he gets in this time, there's going to be what's the phrase? Scorch earth. Going on with a lot of these government agencies and jobs, and he's the one guy. He always says this, and I believe him. They're not after him; they're after us. That's he's the only person that's standing in the way of complete destruction. The one guy I believe is him.
And what else can you ask for? I mean, what else can you ask for from a potential leader? He's basically offered the last thing that he could offer, which is his own safety in life. After this is why I'm like, if anyone is against him, I can't see how I can say that you're being a very fair or honest person at this point, right? Like, what else do you want from the guy as evidence for you to at least give him a shot? Right?
No,
and
they don't like.
No,
I was going to say they don't like his personality. They feel like he's very toxic, and he lied 47 times in the last debate. That's more critical, and we need to analyze that more.
Yeah, he's not nice. You know what's nice is when I can feed my kids and not worry about, like, do I have enough money to buy groceries? That's pretty nice. Right? When nice, I don't feel like if I go downtown that there's going to be crazy people who are here illegally and we have no idea where they're from, what they're going to do. It's nice to walk around and not have to fear that.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's nice here's the video.
I was going to say it's nice to have your jobs and then and then having a high wage. But if you have too many illegals coming to the country, guess what? Your pay is gonna go down because somebody's
Go
gonna get
down.
it cheaper.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Big business wants this too, and that's the problem with the right. It's not just big government for votes. Big business wants this because it drives down the labor cost for business.
Yes, and that's why Republicans let it happen, Tua, with this whole
Yes.
illegal immigration. But Democrats get the benefit of it that they get more government oversee on these people because they're going to rely on government agencies to make their life, because that's what people who cross illegally and refugees, they suck up a lot
That's
of
what
the
they're going to
government
rely
resources.
on. Yeah.
Yes, and then two, the Republicans see the benefit of what? Cheap labor for businesses. And when you
Yeah.
have cheap labor, which is the most expensive commodity, that helps you. And that's why Trump, he's not on either side. He's like, dude, you're hurting the American people side, because the people who have jobs are gonna have lower wages. So, and that's why Trump is hated from both sides. I think we can agree on
Yes.
that.
Yes. Which is even more reason to trust him, in my
Yes.
opinion, because we know on both sides, there's clowns on both sides who want to sacrifice the American voter. And we were talking about this, Toko. I just did a little trip out in Europe. And dude, I didn't realize the American worker
Works a lot
works 2 or 3 times more than the average worker in Europe. I mean, when I was going out there, a lot of the things aren't even open until like 9 in the morning ish, right? And then they close down by 5 or 6. And I'm just like, it made me feel sad for the American worker because they're working like 80 hours a week and they're getting taxed to death on that. And then every time they buy their groceries and pay their bills, they taxed on that. Whenever they make anything, taxed to death. And where does all that money go? All overseas. And why? Because that's how the politicians get their cut, because they know if they keep it in the United States, it'll be tracked. But if they ship all that money overseas, they get their little favor, their pockets get filled, and it's very difficult to track. And Joe Biden is the perfect example of how that's done. He has over 200 LLCs with his family, and there's money coming into them from all over, and that's all the money he's worked his whole career to ship out of the country so that he can get a piece of the pie through the back door.
Well, and that's why people are getting reluctant to keep sending more money, because we're already in over the billions of dollars sending money to Ukraine, and we can't even keep track. Yes, they said they're spending it on the war and weapons, but are they really spending it all on the war?
War, weapons. We've sent money to save the pensions for the government workers. I mean, it's crazy. Here's another interesting video. This is the video, one of the videos that the guy who triangulated where the killer was. So this is a window on the front of the building, and then there's a door. This is one of the areas why he was able, but this is after the shooting and people taking a video of where the shooter was. Look at where people could see him. The people could see him crawling right there. 3 minutes before he got shot, that one guy was getting interviewed. He was saying, hey, cops, hey, Secret Service, there's a dude up there crawling with a gun. And it took him that long. You're telling me that someone says there's someone crawling with a gun and the police are like, what? What are you talking about, man? What's going on? That's another fishy thing, but just interesting to reference here. Yeah.
You can see the guy there.
So that's the guy right there after he was shot.
I think they hit him because the guy looks dead.
It's crazy. Crazy. That's how low it was. We're not talking like the guy was up. Yeah. So that's why they could see. Yeah. There's some rumors that he's an Antifa guy. And hopefully this is not too much for some of our viewers, but we do have James O'Keefe is a pretty reliable dude for his reporting. And this is what he's showing as the shooter. Looks like a young individual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm seeing other videos that says, and people are tweeting about, they're pulling a guy down from the stands and they're saying that's the shooter.
No. This gentleman that we were watching earlier, that's unfortunately the victim who got shot in the head.
Oh, Oh, so people just thought that there was the
Yes.
shooter they got shot. Okay.
Yeah. So that individual, he was the one that got. He is.
Mm.
Let me see. Where's the video here? Let's share this again. We'll add it back. He's the victim right here in V that got shot in the stand right there. So the shooter had to shoot through the crowd to get to Trump.
Oh, yes.
Oh, so somebody did die. I didn't.
Yes.
Okay.
This
I thought
was
they were just injured.
no.
Okay.
There was a gentleman who died, and I think 2 others who were injured. There's another rumor, and it's not 100% proven yet, but that Donald Trump was also hit in the chest.
Yeah, I saw that picture. Somebody tweeted
Yeah.
and had a hole
In his
here.
yeah. And
they're
so
saying maybe that's the bulletproof vest.
yeah. And if it's true, he just started wearing a bulletproof vest like 2 weeks earlier.
Wow.
Because his Secret Service detail was telling him you should probably start wearing a bulletproof vest. This is going back to what we were talking about earlier. Everyone saw the trajectory of what was happening. So the fact that the Secret Service and so forth don't give him a full detail, everybody was noticing the direction we were going, that something was going to happen. So pretty crazy. Let's see here. We're going to come back to our buddy here who I think did a fantastic job, and just kind of watch through some of his content, and we can comment as we go along.
The January 6th speech he gave, he had protective glass in front of him. This shot came from a side angle. It's unclear that this sort of glass would have protected him. Let's go ahead and play it. Here we go. Oh, why can't it spacebar? Oh my God.
Chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Moving his hair. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Moving to the stair. Stair, get ready. Stair, get ready. You ready? We're good.
Look at this guy right here. He's looking like he's going to track someone and kill him.
Let's go. We're clear. Come on. Let me get my shoes. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes.
Hold that in your head, it's bloody.
So we got to move to the box.
Let me get my shoes.
Homeboy was very concerned about his shoes, like 3 or 4 times. Let me get my shoes.
Dude, what a tough son of a gun.
And look at that. They're trying to pull him away, right, to escort him, and he tells them, wait, so he can put his hands up. I mean, this guy, what more can you ask from a candidate? I hear all these people say, we need someone who's going to fight for us. We need someone who doesn't care, who's going to do what's right. What more can you ask for?
Yeah.
I don't know, unless I'm missing something.
No, this is do it. And this is why
mean tweets. That's
No, and that's the funny thing. You know, Trump is he's a wealthy guy. We wouldn't think a tough guy would be a middle class,
Yeah.
Or a guy who grew up in a rough neighborhood, and he knows how to be tough, and now he stayed away from gigs. Dude,
this guy's been wealthy his whole life.
Dude, this been wealthy, but he's the way he behaves and the courage that he has, because he's had everything, man. But for him to be that tough after a bullet, dude, that's why I'm like, dude, he's a tough guy. And that's why I'm saying tough people, there's this thing, people think, oh, in order to understand the people who have had it tough, you gotta experience that and knows what it is to be poor, or it's like, dude, Trump is a definition. that helps. But
it's
I'm
not
just
that-
saying,
yeah.
I'm talking about Trump, 35, 40 years. My man's been a multimillionaire and a billionaire. And he's still like, that's why I feel like Trump, there's a special calling, there's a special reason and a purpose that why he's doing what he's supposed to do. Because all the factors that we say that he's supposed to, in order to relate or to understand somebody's like a middle class person or a worker class, dude, my man is the one doing it. It's not these people. It's not these people who've come there and then now they have influence. It's this man. I just find it funny. That's all.
Yeah.
Because it's like it doesn't make sense in our head because he's been a very wealthy individual for most of his life, but what he projects himself is a very working class behavior.
And honestly, like we talked about sometimes, Masi, my favorite thing that I know I recognize in Trump, this guy is a builder. Like that's the one thing, you know, my career being in construction. A lot of these people who are quote unquote in the white collar jobs, those are the architects, the engineers, you know, all that stuff. They do all their design, they do all that stuff, but you know who at the end of the day has to make it happen? It's the builder, right? The architect will like, man, I'm gonna design something that never been designed before, but you know, there's a couple questions that are iffy. They sweep it under the rug. The engineer will do some of his calculations. It's like, man, I think that'll work. But they have some question, sweep it under the rug. You know who cannot sweep it under the rug? The guy who's got to build it, because he's judged by two
On
things.
time and not over budget.
Exactly. Those are the two things. You know, that's why builders go in and out of business so quickly, and engineers and architects stick around, because at the end of the day, the builder has to, if the architect designs something, the builder's got to make it a reality, right? And then if there's a structural problem, at the end of the day, the builder's got to build it, and he's judged by two things: on time and on budget. And what does Donald Trump like drive home all the time? We're going to get it in a short amount of time, and we're not going to waste all the money in the world.
Yes.
Right. And he's that kind, and you have to have a certain kind of mentality to do that. And Homeboy has that mentality, man. It's the alpha mentality. And that's why the beta says he's mean. He's mean. He did some tweets. I was like, okay, beta, just go do what the alpha says. You get to eat every day. If there's a bad guy here, the alpha will protect you. All he's asking is do what you're told. Right?
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I don't know. I'm getting this is hilarious. But yeah, I mean, we'll come back. I mean, it's amazing. This video, right? I mean, that there's so many, and here's another interesting shot, guys. Let me see if I can find it. There's a amazing, here's another. There are going to be so many iconic moments from this, right? There's going to be t-shirts of this. Tucker Carlson had one where is the picture of the flag in the back. You can get a clear shot of his ear all messed up, and Donald Trump has his hand up. I mean, there's going to be so many t-shirts and stuff coming off of this.
Well, what do you notice on the background here? Can't wait till we see all the footage that these people have caught behind
behind the scenes.
See the cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
When those start coming out, then we'll figure out what his shoes are. What happened to his shoes?
Now look at. I mean, here's an example. Look at this shot.
Oh yeah.
Blood coming down.
Yeah. This is when everybody's on top of him after he just got shot. That's him with the Secret Service on top of him, and they haven't moved him. Yeah, that's fake, right? Was it Toko? You were saying some people were saying it was staged. Yeah, that's not blood. That's ketchup right there.
Like they say in my business, he went down and cut himself.
Yeah, we got the pro here who can sniff out a stage situation here.
That's true. That's true.
The only thing you can't fake the guy who tied up on the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is some iconic stuff, man. This is crazy.
That's a great photo right there.
This is where Trump appears to be chanting, fight, fight, fight.
Telling you, man, like This you cannot ask for more. He gets shot. He's almost died. He may not even know. It's like, dude, are you shot anywhere else? And he stands up and he says, "Fight, fight, fight."
Mm.
What can
No,
you
and
ask for, man? It's
dude,
crazy.
and isn't that a leader that you literally want to give your life for?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
you know, it's like, dude, I don't know many leaders that can take a bullet and come back and say fight. Like, there's a lot of soft politicians that make it to power and stuff. They won't bend or won't say things because they say it's not socially right or it's inconvenient. It's like, dude, Trump is one. Like I said, man, I don't know how you cannot be inspired watching that and seeing a leader like that and say willing to, dude, this is a guy worth dying for, man.
Well,
let me ask you this: if that was Biden, how do you think he would have reacted?
dude, first off, even if he was shot in the ear, he doesn't have the reflexes to get down as quickly as Trump did. That's assuming he recognized there was shooting going on.
Yeah.
He's
Right?
gonna have that blank stare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's gonna get shot in the ear, and he's gonna go.
And you know what's something that my daughter kind of pointed out to me?
Hmm.
The shooter is in the perfect spot to shoot like this, right?
Mm.
It happened at the right time. He was looking at
Yes.
the direction where the shooter was from. So it's a smaller profile. And if he was looking forward, it would have gone
Right through his
straight in
brain.
his head. He would have been gone. And
I saw,
now that you know that, go ahead.
I think I saw a video of somebody who does shooting for a living or whatever, but he was talking about the aim should have been to the back of the head, and if it had hit him right on the back of the head, he would have been out, lights out straight away. But because he had his head turned at the right time, it missed
Got
him
the
and hit him
ear.
in the ear.
So man, it'd be interesting to learn more about the shooter's background because it was like what 450 feet away. It's not an easy shot, and it seemed like this guy was, like you were saying, Toko, right on the money, right in the back, right? But because he turned, he caught the ear instead of the back of the head. So I mean, for all intents and purposes, this was the perfect shot. And if that is the case, how can you not tell me God's not interfering here, man? I don't know.
I think that's God at work right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you this, man. If you're like Taliban or whatever around the world, because you know how they were afraid of him before all of this, now they know he's the real deal. Like, remember those two politicians who said they were with Donald Trump when they sat across the Taliban and said, hey, if you do anything, slides over a picture of his house, he says, I'm going to kill you. Now they know this guy is not, they because you know what? I think this guy's for real. Now they know this guy's for real because he's not afraid. Like, I mean, look at him. Like, dude, not only should Americans be like, that's our guy, but you do also know the enemies of America are like, holy smokes, if this guy gets elected, he is not messing around.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the rally erupts into a crowd right here. A few things to note in that clip there. When they say Hawkeye is here, they're referring to the tactical detail responding. You can actually hear shooter down, clear. This is when they say, okay, let's move. Donald Trump stands up. He says, let me get my shoes. We're not entirely clear if that's some kind of code word or if he was legitimately concerned about his shoes, but he did ask for his shoes. And this is a very obviously dramatic video here. You got a lot of people over here with their, showing middle fingers to the press stand and the camera, very angrily screaming "F you" and
Dude, I think the guy with the
flipping
sleeveless shirt.
either
He's like,
cameras
I'm looking
or
at you
as a way of saying to the shooter, "F you." Donald Trump gets into his vehicle. We don't actually get an angle in this particular video, which is fine. We'll put it together. I've got another angle of it. But I want to also just go back for a moment. Listen again very close. Oh, yeah, here's the shot of him walking to his vehicle. You'll We'll go back for a moment so you can listen to the shots where you hear the counter shots from the sniper team. I'll show you where the sniper team was positioned so you can see this a little bit more clearly.
Yeah, we'll skim
hear the
over here
person
to some
saying,
of
"I
the things
think
where he's talking about the
they hit
map
him."
he draws.
In a BBC interview, we actually hear somebody saying that his head was blown off. I want you to see this map right here. This is what I posted on X. So this is approximately 506 Evans City Road in Butler, Pennsylvania. We believe Donald Trump's positioning was right about here where I've placed this pin. Now, this is important. Watch me zoom in on this building right here. See the door? See the window? It's the sloped building at the end of the row of buildings, which aligns with the video we just saw. There were no buildings to the right. There were no windows on the right.
Now, remember, guys, this is a one-man show. An hour or so after, and CNN is still talking about, did they have metal detectors to get into the thing? I was like,
It's open space. My goodness. They're so dumb. Damn. And apparently these guys went to prestigious schools and get their degrees and we're supposed to trust them?
yeah,
My goodness.
yeah.
They're recording?
This is, I mean, oh yeah.
You had a window, a door, and the shooter's body appeared to be right here where my mouse is. The cell phone footage appeared to have been taken from the left side of this tree right here, since you saw a tree to the right of them. All right, look at this. Tree to the right of them, no buildings on the right, door, no objects on the side of this building, and then a window right here under where they zoom in. There it is, the window. So we believe we have the correct trajectory here. Now, why is this important? Because when you actually look at this, this is the setup. Press box 1, straight shot on Donald Trump. Press box 2, wide shot. That's the shot I showed you where you could see the Secret Service agents here, where you could see where the victim is, the stands on the left. That would be, if I go back on the right side broadcasting, that would be right here. This is where Donald Trump is. There are the Secret Service folks. Here is where the victim was, to the left of that sign. Okay, there's the water tower. Why is that water tower important? Watch. The water tower right here. Trump speaking here. Press box here. You could see the water tower. You could see the water tower. Press box 2 has a view of the water tower. There's the water tower. So again, Trump, shooter. Insane that the Secret Service wasn't covering that angle. Now, again, going to, we've got a few interviews to cover, but going back to my map quickly, look at that exact trajectory. Well, I mean, my estimated version. Here's where the phone video was. The phone video, honestly, I think was back here because you do see some more trees in front to the left of them. So I think they had a tree over here to their right. They're kind of under the shade. It was a hot day. So you had the phone video zoomed in directly onto that wall. Press box 1, press box 2. Press box 2 sees the water tower above here. Trump's here. Here's the shooter's trajectory. Here's where the victims hit in the head.
Crazy. Any thoughts there? I think he covers it relatively well.
Yeah.
Then we've kind of looked at this. I mean, it's just insanity. Insanity.
Yeah, the thing that comes into mind straight away is this has got to be planned. Why
Doesn't it
would-
feel that way?
look,
It
that
feels
line
that
of-
way.
Yeah, and somebody should have been up there.
100%. And what's mind blowing is it's the closest building. It's not like we have like 50 other buildings in the same. It's the one and only closest building. And you're telling me, like you're saying, Toko, no one's up there? And then not only is no one up there, but this guy happened to know that if he crawled along the opposite side, that no one would be looking there. He crawled not only on the closest building, but the specific spot on the closest building that the counter snipers wouldn't be able to see him.
So what's the story of how he got shot? Did they just run up and shoot him, or did they shoot him from the ground? What's
No,
I missed
the
story.
snipers ended up getting a view of him and shooting him, is what the current story is. Because like they were interviewing that one guy by BBC, is he was trying to tell the cops to go there, but the cops wouldn't go there for like 3 to 4 minutes before the shot even happened.
Interesting.
Another thing I think I saw a tweet earlier when he saw the detail around Uncle Trump there. How many women did you see in that group? It's interesting. I'm just, I saw the whole thing and it never popped into my mind until somebody, um, mentioned it. But you look at it and you see how many women are there. What does that tell you? Right?
That's a good question.
Do they have the proper and the best people working for the president or in the Secret Service, or is it all about diversity and there's not enough women? And it's kind of interesting because I think somebody showed there was about 3 or 4 women there.
Well, and like O'Keefe's tweet here, I'll pop up. It sounds like heads are rolling. This right here. So people are
Heads
getting
are rolling?
fired. Yeah, like people. Yeah, supposedly after the fact, but you'd rather keep people safe rather than have their heads roll. Oh yeah, way. Any other thoughts?
No, interesting point. Dougal brought up, because I know there has been a huge push of gender diversity and all of these kind of things. Hey, I'm more on merit. If you're female or male, if you have something to bring to the table that no one can do and you do it really well, get you in. Because I remember talking to even Lee, because Lee served in the military, and he even said sometimes the male soldiers, for some reason, because they were trying to push them to mix and stuff, that sometimes the male soldiers would have a tough time to get a female in their group, because when it came to, like, when they would go door to door, this is during the war of Afghanistan and stuff, that sometimes the women were not as 100% to the task, because they'll get shaky, or there'll be some obstacles that'll be difficult and their life depends on it, and they wouldn't it was just, they were not trying to be sexist or anything, they rather just have an all male, because everyone was well capable and they're on the same page. When you have somebody who's a little different, because we all know male and female brain wise, there's some that they can do really well and do well, they can do their job very very well, but I'm just
But
saying
that's rare.
that's rare. And there was when they put them into platoons and groups, when they would go, especially when they knocked down houses, when they were looking for the opposition or the enemy, that because your life is dependent on the partner behind you, and sometimes just the males just were not, they were not willing to put their life at risk to have somebody that was, let's just say, a female to kind of watch their back.
Well, it's because it's a high risk, high reward, and really, in those situations, no one cares about your gender or anything. What they care about is performance, right? It's like when you're on a sports team. When you're on a sports team, if the girl can make the tackle and do everything and everybody be like, okay, awesome, right? Yeah. Because it's heavily towards performance. Because why? You either win the game or lose the game, and all you want is someone who helps me win the game. If you don't help me win the game, move, right? And it's the same thing in war. You either die or you stay alive. All you care about is who's going to keep me alive.
No, and here's the funny thing too, because I know the NBA is, until recently, with the WNBA, the women playing basketball, they were losing money, right? And there was like saying, why are people not watching, or they don't care? I mean, it's because people would rather watch men who can dunk and do some crazy athletic things compared to a relatively normal guy that can kind of do everything what a WNBA girl can do, right? Until that Caitlyn girl came and she was dropping threes like Curry threes, that's what brought attention. And it's the same thing with rugby girls. Since I've been here, there's been a big push of rugby girls here. Hey, I don't mind them playing, but like, dude, I'm not gonna, I value my time. I'm not gonna watch a rugby girls game that I could just get and watch play touch somewhere in Manurewa that guys can do if they're playing tackles. You know what I mean? Hey, I'm just being honest, and
Yeah.
it's not a it's not a
Well,
sexist thing. It's
no,
not. I mean, it's just don't. To me, what I'm trying to say, the world is only going to be attracted if the product is good. If you're doing something, yes, it's the only thing I like about women sports that I think is pretty cool is like UFC stuff. Kind
yeah,
of like I feel like, dude, okay, this is still interesting. You get because you get some crazy moves and some great submission and knockouts that is pretty entertaining. But like I'm still having a hard time. I don't even watch WNBA women, even with the Caitlyn there. I've kind of followed it a little bit because she's doing something that's no other athlete is it's hard for any athletes to do. And then even the rugby stuff at the for the women, they do the rugby league and rugby stuff for the women here. I don't find that any interest because it doesn't. I don't feel like it's nothing crazy. It's good for a female if they watch it. And that's unique and that's fine. But it's kind of the same thing. And there's a push to say that people need to watch it. People need to go. People need to have been doing it. If you don't support it, then you're a sexist. And I was like,
yeah.
nah, it's not that. I'm just being real. It's not a great product from what I see that I can see from a regular dude that can't reach that level, but they can do it on an amateur level, and I can watch that for free. You know what I mean? So no. So that's what I'm saying. This is the kind of things that's happening in our society. That's kind of going into our military. It's happening into our sports. That they pick up these topics and say that we're a bad society because we're not supporting all genders or whatever. But and then now we're getting males participating in women's sports, and that's on its own little thing at the same time.
Well, that's probably their best chance of having it be marketable. But unfortunately, that sacrifices the women.
Yeah.
Your comment there, Mussy, made me think, and I don't know what kind of language is on this, but it made me think of. Have you heard this guy's comment about who to blame for why women's sports is not taking off? Watch.
In the WNBA, they have been playing in front of 300 to 400 people a night for a quarter of a century. Not to mention, it's a male-subsidized league. We gave you a fucking league. Where are all the feminists? That place should be packed with feminists.
Yeah,
Wearing jerseys,
see?
slashing their titties. Going fucking nuts like the guys do. In the upper deck with their big beard titties. Am I on the Jumbotron? Am I doing it? Women failed the WNBA.
Yes.
Ladies, name your top 5 all-time WNBA players of all time. Come on. That's it. Name 5 WNBA teams.
one.
Name the WNBA team in your fucking city. You can't do it. You don't give a fuck about them. They play night in and night out in front of nobody. It's a fucking tragedy.
I mean, yeah. I mean, despite the language here, but the point is very powerful, right? You have the feminists and you have the woke who say have to have women's sports. And then when the women's sports fails, they blame the sports fan when we're like, wait a minute. There are millions of quote unquote feminists. There are millions of women. There are millions. Why aren't you guys filling up these stadiums? You guys failed the sport, not us. Right? We never asked for some of these leagues, but you guys want it. And you know what? We'll pay for it. Right?
Yeah.
And here's an interesting point here from David Tota, the high school. You remember that Rapinoe girl? She was all like, the men's soccer team don't want to play against us because they know we would give them a run for their money. And then they played against like the U15 or U16 and got smoked. And that's the type of like the level of competition you're talking about, right, Masi? Why would I go pay to watch that when I can go watch the U15 boys soccer? That's better. Higher quality, higher competition.
Yeah. No, and that's a good point. And I understand when you want to start it off, right? You want it to do well. But like that guy said, if they've been playing for a century and they're still being heavily subsidized by the NBA players, which is the male side, and I'm assuming because I mean, and I'm just gonna bring this to rugby. I'm assuming this girls rugby have kind of started too, but I'm sure they're being heavily subsidized by World Rugby and the men's
Yes.
playing. So
Yeah,
I'm
for
like,
sure.
there's got so that's
Same
what I'm
as
trying to
soccer.
say. Yes. So I'm trying to say is there's more women. I think in a lot of the countries, women there's more women than males in most countries because they tend to live longer. They tend to have a longer lifespan than males. They're not filling it up because they see what we see. It's not that very entertaining. It's not mind blowing, and there's nothing different about it. If you're just
Yeah.
passing a ball that a male can do, that's nothing crazy. I mean, yes, if the girls don't support it and they don't like it, then you're only gonna be living off the revenues of what males sports athletes are projecting, and that's gonna affect them because one, a lot of the males have families that they could have more money, but they have to be subsidized to another sport. So
Crazy.
that's another thing you're kind of affecting players. So I don't know. That's just what I
Here's
see.
Chad. I appreciate the comment. And Chad he was in the military, right? So he says when I was in, meaning the military, 9 out of 10 women could not have carried me out of a high stress area, like you're talking about, right, Masi? In these
Yes,
close
that's what Lee
combat
mentioned.
areas.
Yes.
I am 205 pounds with all my gear, put me around 350 pounds with his gear on. And no females were able to drag me to a safe area, which was my biggest stress as a sergeant, right?
Right on the dot. What I was kind of mentioning.
And then it goes here. He puts another comment from Chad here. And it always confused me that they want the females to do the same jobs as the men, but they have different physical training standards.
See, and that's what I'm talking about. If hey, not sexist or anything. If you can do the standards for everybody, hey, you've already proven
You can do the
yourself
job. You
to
can
it.
do the job.
Yes, and that's why we just have a different category for you to do or a different task. It doesn't mean we're being sexist or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like we just have different roles, and you just got to know your role.
Have you guys ever seen that video of the firefighters doing their training?
Nah.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it in the background. It's kind of like this video here. It proves the point. They have a female. Let me see if I can find it here. But any comments while I kind of look this up?
No. Well, I'm just trying to maybe ask Toko's opinion on the because from the WWE they love the women they do get. Of course, they have to bring something different, but obviously love the women who do the wrestling stuff. They have to be good looking at the same time. The doing the same kind of aerobics with the males and stuff, but love the I mean, there's you got to bring something to the table that I don't know, be different, but you can't be doing the same thing like the males because
There's a
I don't know. I'm just kind
yeah.
of saying.
So
You're not becoming
there's
a
a big
fireman.
difference. The American
Firefighter, not
Oh, I
fireman.
hear something in the background.
Oh, sorry. Let me change. Let me take this off. I'm trying to find that video. Go ahead. Keep going.
Go ahead.
No,
Doc.
I'm comparing the Japanese women's wrestlers to the American ones or the other ones. The Japanese female wrestlers are so entertaining that right now they're competing with the men's. Why? Because they are putting on matches that are just like the men's.
Yeah.
Whereas you compare the American stuff,
It looks.
you just laugh because it just looks so fake, right? That's the big difference, and
Yeah, it's
I
the
think that
quality,
applies to
right?
any other sports. Yeah, if you had women who play like the men, you'd want to watch it. But
Yeah.
that's the reality.
And it's hilarious because I was watching this one video and they were talking about they're talking about the differences, and then they said, how come nobody complains about the pay gap between female models and male models? Right? And the female models make like 10 times more than the male models. And then it was like a girl panel, and one of the girls like, no, I don't think that's true. And then one of the girls gone just, no, actually I used to be a female model, and she's right. The female models make way more money than the male models. And nobody's complaining about that, right? And so here, I think I found the video, and this is another hilarious video because it's like a firefighter show, and it shows like it shows first a female firefighter trying to bust through a burning door, right? So the scenario is you're trying to bust through a door of a burning house to get inside.
It could be you and your family.
And on the other side of that door is you burning with your family, burning to a crisp. While Jane here attempts to rescue. Fantastic.
DI, the DI model that you had to have 2 females for every fire department, and then that's the one that happens.
Go take a rest.
Yeah. And then the dude comes in
Look
on
at
the
that.
first one.
One, boom.
So once
So that
again,
brings, no. So
ahead,
here's
Muzzy.
I was gonna say, and here's the question too. I was thinking, is having a quota system good? Tua, this is a quota system of like for social background or ethnicity to like, because what's big here is having a quota system to be doctors to take the class. Like to, and then the quota system meaning they have to take some percentage who are Pacific Islands, Polynesians, take a percentage of Maoris, and take a percentage of like people who are poverty, depravity, or whatever. The social, they come from a tough background, whatever. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it depends. I would say I'd describe it this way. I'm not necessarily against quotas if the standards aren't damaged. That's one way to look at it, right?
Okay.
But and then also the other one is if it's about making coffee, okay, right? Who cares if you mess up making coffee? But if you're like that lady, if you're like saving lives or doing very high risk jobs, then I would say forcing quotas is that we're focusing on the wrong thing. It should just be who's the most qualified, who can provide it, and where
Well,
we
these
should
are-
be.
yes.
Yes,
These
and
are
we
the
should
doctors.
be
These are the people who are going to
exactly.
be cutting you up if you need a surgery, and they got to be precise.
Yeah.
Okay. No. Good. Go ahead. Go ahead, Joe.
Any thoughts on that, Toko? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with you guys. My life, I love my life, so
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, rely on certain quotas being met because, I'd rather have the right people being firefighters or a lot of these jobs that really need it, the qualified people to be in. I'd rather that than meeting a quota of
Yeah.
certain sexes.
Yeah.
Well, over
No,
here,
same.
anyway, nobody really knows what a male or a female is, anyway. So
See, that's the problem. We can't even figure that out.
We can't figure the
Right?
basic.
yeah. So how can you have quotas when you don't know which sex is anybody?
See, and this is where it comes back. Oh, go ahead,
No, I was
Masi.
gonna say. No, I was gonna say. Well, because they always say there's this word or phrase that's kind of been thrown a lot. The systematic racism that's kind of going on, and in order for the academics or people of influence to kind of solve that is to have quotas, right? To kind of
Mhm.
meet that. But like I think you said, too, it depends on the position. Like being doctors, you want the best, and you want to get if you want to get a Polynesian person to get in there, or somebody with a that was um, come from poverty that was really bad. Then if the standard is there and they get in, make sure the standard is not dropped down just because you're you're Polynesian or whatever. You do it for everybody.
Mhm.
Asian, everybody. Because one, that's not to me. I don't know other people. It's not a good feeling that you have to have a lower standard because you're in there and your peers that you're going to class with is on a different standard that's much higher. To me, that's not a very good confidence building in your life. So I think that does more negative harm in the future. But yeah, I'm just like with you guys. It depends on the job. If it's go and pick up rubbish or make coffee or flip a burger or whatever, that's different than like being a firefighter or even being a doctor. That quota can be very dangerous. You don't want to play around with those things. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's the crazy thing is I think the world has enjoyed so much wealth and so much peace. We forget that things were not always this way. Right? That's the hard part. Is we forget that, like, hey, when you used to get on a plane, it was a life or death situation back in the day. Now that we do it so often, we think it's just like nothing happens.
I think we're back at that stage with the planes because now pilots, you don't have to be qualified to be a pilot now. You just
exactly.
have to be
and
woman
that's
or trans.
Yep. No, and that's what we're getting to is like we are so used to our technology, and this is the one thing I've noticed too is we're so able to order things and do things so quickly that people don't understand like how much has to happen and to be correct for them to be able to do that. We think manufacturing just magically happens. We think peace is the norm. We think everybody is just always going to do the right thing. We're going to have a rude awakening if we don't figure that out sooner or later.
We're heading there. You know, we already start thinking a little backwards of it's okay for a guy can have a kid. That's possible. A male is possible, and being a female male is no difference. Like it's starting to get a little backwards. And like what you said, though, I think you're right. Because to be honest, the wealth we've have now is so much more. I don't care how poor you are. Like poor in New Zealand is not the same poor in Africa, not the poor in Dude, we've just gotten a little bit more complacent and forget of where we used to be. And usually chaos happens, and that's why I've added to it's okay to be wealthy and have good things, but once you lose that fear of God or that fear of something, once you feel like you're invincible, you can do whatever, then chaos happens because now you're relying on men, on men, which we know all human beings have flaws, have very, very flaws. And then once we forget about that, then that's where chaos is happening. And I feel like that's where the world is heading to. Because hey, there's nothing wrong being wealthy and having so much things, but when you forget there's there's something else that you need to fear, or you need to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. That's what helped. That's the accountability that kind of rectifies yourself to make sure. Okay, I have all the money in the world, but I just need to be careful here and there. But that's just my thoughts on that.
No, and here's the real danger in my perspective is, and it goes along with what you're saying, Masi. I don't care what anyone says, whether they're atheists or not. Everyone has a God, right? It seems to be like we're hardwired to have a God. Everybody's, I don't believe in God. Well, what do you believe in? Oh, I believe in science. Well, then science is your God. All God means is what do you put at the highest level in your paradigm. So we are hardwired to have a God. This is the problem, like you're saying, when you replace God with something else, you're eventually going to replace God with yourself if you don't put God there. And I'll explain to you, because science, if you say, I believe in science, well, who runs science? Man. And who's the man that you tend to trust the most? Yourself. So at the end of the day, if you don't have God, you can lie to yourself that, I'm so intellectual. It's like, don't lie. You want to be God. That's really what it comes down to, is you either going to put God or you're going to put yourself. And whenever man puts himself in God's place, bad things happen. Bad things happen. And that's, I've never seen a successful story. Any thoughts on that, Toko?
No, I believe that. You lose your faith in God and you start believing in Satan. Then Satan doesn't love you. So what do? You start listening to yourself, which to me, if you don't believe in God, then who else is talking up here? It's not. Right? And I believe if you're stuck in here, to me, that's hell in itself. So a lot of the bad things that happen in here tends to come out if God's not there.
Not
And we see that a
100%.
lot right now. And you see it on the streets, you see it everywhere now. And, the God going missing in a lot of people's lives, to me, is probably why there's a lot of problems right now. And especially if we can see it out on the streets here, then definitely it's happening up on the upper levels and where the elites and the governments and stuff. And I believe there's a lot of people who don't put God first in those levels, and we see that manifesting in the world right now. So yeah, that's my
No,
thought.
100%. 100%. And this is, I mean, people always accuse us, Masi, of overemphasizing Tonga and overemphasizing Polynesia, but this is what I believe is a trend that I see. There's a reason why Polynesians were sent to the last place in the world to be inhabited, and there's a reason why we were discovered last. And I hope and pray this is the reason. We are one of the few cultures that heavily still believe in God. One of the few cultures. The Western world has gone very, very far away from that, and other parts of the world are denying it. I really believe that is a unique role we can bring to the world. Is we still hold strong to that belief, and as we see success through our people in entertainment, in sports, starting getting into politics and so forth, I really believe that is something we can bring to the table, is reminding the rest of the world that God's still there. He hasn't gone anywhere. And the person that's going to help us fix everything is going back to God. This is why, and this is also a warning to us. We are not exempt from like the West in forgetting God. Like I think I mentioned, was it one of our shows, Masi, where I was shocked that when the previous PM, when they were having issues with the drugs and the crime in Tonga, and the previous PM asked for a fast and a prayer, and I was blown away how many people in Tonga were kind of mocking him, saying like, "What?" Looks like we may have lost Toko. Where they're mocking him and saying like, "What? We have problems, and your answer is
prayer."
And we're like, yes, that's what saved Tonga from the very beginning. And that's what we have to rely on to save us again. But yeah, I think that's something unique that we hopefully bring to the table, to the world, Mashi.
No, and that's important. Like we said, Tonga is not going to be exempt. I'm actually surprised. I'm not surprised when you mentioned that, though, because there are starting to be quite a few Tongans who are taking a very liberal approach to that, and it doesn't surprise me because a lot of Tongans, I think we have per capita have the most Tongans with degrees, especially PhDs. So if we're not careful and we're not fixing and teaching the future generations about the importance of believing in God, it's gonna happen to Tonga. But as for right now, this is what Tonga can do for the world. So
No,
yeah.
100%. Looks like there's a comment here. There's truth in culture. Imagine all the miracles our ancestors must have seen. They don't want us to hold on to that, especially if it has to do with God and our heavenly 100%. And I think that's something unique we can bring to the table. And if you believe that God is involved with our ancestors, then you zoom out and say, why did our ancestors get sent to the last place in the world to be settled? And then why are we the last place to be discovered in the world?
Well, and I'll add to that, to why were we never colonized?
Yes.
Right? To me, it's mind blowing. Like yes, there were some steps that was taken to prevent that, but to make those steps happen, it is to me, I can't believe there wasn't a divine intervention, because Tonga should have been colonized by Britain, especially, or by German or the US. But and this is why I believe what you mentioned, Tua, that Tongans as a whole, as a people, we do have a purpose here on this earth to our other brothers and sisters in the Polynesia, but not only that, to the world of that divine. Because to me, you tell me I can't like I can't think of a when I say indigenous native people who first step in the land, I don't know any other cultures that weren't colonized by another group of people. Tonga's the
Mhm.
only one. And when you think of that in a small scale and in a big scale, it's remarkable and there's a reason. There's a reason. I don't believe it wasn't a coincidence. There's a purpose in that. We're still I think we're trying I think it could be the purpose of with especially with the chaos and the world that's turning into man-made solutions, right? There's some solutions man can do, but there's some a lot of the sickness that's happening in the world is spiritual, and who's the spiritual source that can fix it?
God.
Is
Yeah.
God.
No, 100% Kingpin. Appreciate the shout out, brother.
Kingpin, Malo Kingpin.
Malo. No, we were just, I don't know if what you caught in that discussion there, Toko, but we're just talking about kind of like the unique situation of our people and Tonga. And I do want to kind of express this a little bit further. And we've mentioned this. I know that we mentioned Tonga specifically, and I want to kind of just frame it to our Polynesian brothers and sisters. We need to remember that individual nations of Tonga, Samoa, Tahiti, Hawaii, where when the Polynesian Empire existed, there was no independent nations, right? We were like, you could look at it as kind of like states within each state. Yes, had a governor that had some type of blood tie and relationship to the Tuitonga and Tangaloa on Tongatapu, but we have to use these terms because that's the only way we can communicate with each other, right? To understand Tonga. But to go back to your point, Masi, when we talk about a native civilization that has not been totally dominated, I want to just help our brothers and sisters understand that imagine Polynesia as a country with its natives in it. And we were losing everything, right? Our nation was cut up into pieces and we were losing it by colonization. And every time it was colonized, Hawaii was formed as a nation, right? Samoa was formed as a nation. All these nations came because of colonization, because England had this, Germany had that. So they were using that. But think of it as the Polynesian nation survived. And the part of the nation that survived is Tonga. And that all Polynesians should be proud of that, because we do not know of a single civilization or culture where they were able to maintain that, because the civilization of the Polynesians is still living as in Tonga. And unfortunately, it shrunk to that because, hey, granted, the Europeans had more technology. It's obvious.
More weapons to the game.
Yes. But we managed to survive. And I just want to kind of relate that out to like our other Polynesian brothers and sisters is that's the frame of mind I want people to think of. When we say Tonga, you could almost just say equal Polynesia.
Yes.
But that's the only way we can communicate with each other to understand what specific parts we're talking about.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's something that's really important and unique that we bring to the table. I think we're going to close it out here. We're at just over 2 hours. Any last comments, Toko or Masi?
Go ahead, Toko.
No, I'm really happy to be here, but I just want to comment on how really professional you two are, because I've listened to your guys' podcast and the way you guys talk. It's very just like every other professional podcaster. So I think you guys are doing a really great job. You guys could pass as commentators on a show or something, because man, I really you keep me focused on when you guys talk. So I think you guys got something good here. Just keep going. The topics you guys talk about is very interesting, especially for us islanders. We really want to know all the stuff, and talking more about the history of Polynesia. It's being lost. So your dad's probably the only guy is an expert on talking about what the real Polynesia is. So for you guys to bring out his voice and bring it to the rest of the world, I'm really happy about that. and I'm pretty sure everybody else is too. So thank you.
Malo
Oh,
Toko. Masi.
Malo Toko. I just want to verify to it. We're gonna bring Toko in again for just because we
Correct.
want to talk more about his life and just wrestling. But unfortunately, Uncle Donald somebody wanted to attempt Uncle Donald today
It was
because we
greedy
planned this.
about the time.
Yeah,
Eh?
was intervene, but we'll definitely want to bring you on again, Toko. Just and it's more about just
Malo,
you,
malo.
your thoughts, and talk about wrestling because Tu and I kind of mentioned some wrestling stuff and some cool storylines, and want to get your thoughts about it in the future. But no, appreciate Toko for you coming on. I live in New Zealand. We always try to have get-togethers as much as we can, but I appreciate everything you do. It doesn't go unnoticed what you do for not only for the community but also with the wider family. Appreciate everything you do. Ofatu Toko until next time, whenever that next time too is available.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you, Toko. I appreciate you understanding to do a little last minute pivot. Like Masi said, we think if anyone is willing to put their life on the line to fight for freedom, they deserve at least some time in a last minute pivot. Once again, thank all the viewers. We really do appreciate it. As always, we can't respond to every comment. We've really been blown away by how much success we've had. Masi and I were just like, oh, we'll have some fun. And if it does anything, great. And also we can record Tevita Fale's experience in history. Even if, like I told Tevita Fale, even if it's just for the grandkids and the great-grandkids, that alone would have been worth it to get the support and even the pushback, right? If everything is always positive, I get a little concerned, right? So it makes me feel pretty good when I see the pushback. It's like, okay, then it maybe is realistic to think we're doing something good. With that being said, I appreciate it, and we'll till next time. Peace.
Peace.